Welcome to the 2016 Race of Gentlemen. So glad the weather held out for us. First, I want to say thank you to everybody who's out here. Incredible vehicles you brought. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to run 5 races.
Started off with quads, moved up onto drag racing 69 Camaros on the on the quarter mile, and then when I was 24, started racing 1923 Harley on half-mile dirt track. So yeah, I've been racing since I was really little. Wildwood, New Jersey today at the Race of the Gentlemen. I'm racing on the beach in the beautiful sun, bringing the heat, so it's real nice. Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I'm out for the gold. I'm going to try to win. Last year I was the first woman to cross the finish line ever. Just hopped up to that line, raced against Matt Wachsler. Matt won, but I felt really good about being that first woman to cross that finish line. Now I'm trying to be the first woman winner. So I'm hugely competitive, and I love racing and the sport of racing, so I'm out to win it. My dad, he was building hot rod motors and street rod motors, you know, just really cool wicked machine motors, you know, that just like those little street machine cars you see with the blowers. I mean, that was like my dad. My dad was building a lot of motors like that when I was growing up, building hot rods. And so when I was 3, I went with my dad to Scribner, Nebraska to go to an IHRA drag race, and Shirley Muldowney was there. So my dad had sat me down and showed me the movie Heart Shaped Like a Wheel, and I just thought it was a movie. Like, I didn't really think this woman, Shirley Muldowney, was a real person, because at the age of 3, movies are fake, you know? Well, then fast forward a week or so, and we go to the drag strip, and I get to meet Shirley Muldowney. And I think I'm meeting a movie star, not an actual professional drag racer. I didn't think that women drag race. You know, my mom didn't drag race, my aunts, or any of my dad's friends, girlfriends, and wives. I just didn't see a women, I didn't see them at the drag strip. Well, then my dad walks me up to Shirley Muldowney at this IHRA race and says, "I'd like to introduce you to someone." And immediately, like I said, I thought I'm meeting a movie star, because I saw this movie about this woman. And I asked her, why aren't you in Hollywood making films? And she said to me, "Well, I'm not an actress. You must have saw my movie. That was a movie about me. I'm a professional drag racer." And at the end of just visiting with her for a little bit, she told me that I could be a professional drag racer if I wanted to be someday. So from 3 years old until like literally now, my goal, I've always just wanted to be a racer, you know, and I've always wanted to be a professional racer. So when when I'm having fun with old bikes, I try to apply a professional manner to that and try to have as much fun as I possibly can. I've always believed in working with someone who's talented and who knows the tracks, who knows how the bikes run, and who's been doing it for a long time. And my racing coach, Jim Wall, he had been racing in the board track class for some time, and he was a 10-time consecutive board track class champion. And so immediately I went to him and just started talking to him, and I said, hey, where do you train? And he was like, well, I don't really train. I said, well, now we're gonna train together. I need you to teach me how to race these old bikes, because I want to do it, and I want to do it right, safe, and I want to be good at it, you know? And so yeah, he took me under his wing, and we went to a 3/8 mile track in Holyoke, Colorado, which is a little small town in Colorado, another one of those old centennial tracks that have been around for 100 years. And man, we just had so much fun. At first we were so slow going, but now like seeing where we first started off in 2013, and then, you know, going to like last year and where we were at the half mile in Sturgis, and us just going back down that back straightaway at 70 miles, 75 miles an hour. I mean, it's incredible to see that progress, and I wouldn't have been able to get there if it wasn't for him, so taking me under his wing. Mentor, and you have really good friends who are racers and they understand racing. They give you confidence. They give you the knowledge of what to do. They help you with your machine, and then at the end of the day, you know, that's what you need. You know, you need the confidence. You need the ability to ride your machine, and then you also need the ability to actually go out and perform. You know, and that's the thing with racing too, is, you know, you got to get off that line first. You got to shift. You can't miss a gear. You know, so you got to be on top of your game. But those guys that are so supportive and my mentors and my friends, you know, I have them sitting on my shoulders with me at every race, and I'm always constantly thinking about what they say, what they do.
Don't let it load up. When you're at the start line.
My dad, we built a motorized bicycle in literally my mom's living room, and I took it out to Sturgis one year, and I had people stopping me on the streets asking for business cards or brochures. And being so young, I didn't realize like why people didn't actually go and build them in their own living rooms, you know? So I thought, well, maybe I can make a little business out of this. And a couple other friends in the industry, in the motorcycle industry, said, you know what, we need some more women builders. And I said, you know, but I like cars. Motorcycles don't excite me. You know, I don't like sport bikes or sportsters or modern bikes, baggers. I'm not into all that stuff. And then they started asking me questions about, well, whose bike do you like? I said, I like the Wall of Death bikes. I like 1940s knuckleheads and panheads. And so they said, oh, you like old bikes. So then I started doing more research. And like coming from the racing background, I decided to do more research on the history of motorcycle racing, and that's when I fell in love with board trackers. So then I was bound and determined to build a board tracker, and then enter my husband from the left into my life. He told me that they were still racing these bikes in Davenport, Iowa and Wauseon, Ohio at the antique meets. I had no idea. Later on in that same summer that we met, he asked me to marry him with a 23 motor for my board tracker, which we had already started collecting parts and making plans to build. So that's how I got into racing old bikes, riding old bikes, and having a good time on them too. So we were coming back from Born Free 6 out in California. We stopped at my racing coach and best friend's house named Jim Wall, and he said, hey, I got a 38 Indian project that we could build up for Brittney for road racing if she'd like to do that. And so we thought about it and kind of kicked it around for a few days, and before we left we said, you know what, we would like to do that. Let's build a 45 road racer. That'd be awesome. We raced in Sturgis, and my racing coach brings some of the Indian parts to Sturgis, and we start working on it, and I started thinking, well, who can I get as sponsors? You know, who can I get as support with this race bike? My immediate response was, well, I believe I should probably go to the Indian dealer in Sturgis out of a right to work together, because the Indian dealer in 1938, Pappy Hoyle, is the one who started the Sturgis Rally in 1938. So I named my bike the Spirit of Sturgis in regards to it being like a tribute race bike, you know, with paying honor to the founders of the Sturgis Rally and races. I go to the owner and of the Indian dealership. I cold call him up and say, hey, I think we should meet. One of my friends told me that we should get together and that this would be a good opportunity for both of us to exploit old motorcycle racing and Indian motorcycles. And we had a meeting, and right on the cover of my presentation I have the Spirit of Sturgis, just with a gold paint pen. I wrote Spirit of Sturgis. and it says featuring, antique motorcycle racer Brittney Olsen of 20th Century Racing. Well, he hadn't even opened up the presentation before he looks at the Spirit of Sturgis and he looks at the cover and he goes, well, where did you get this? I said, oh man, if he's impressed by my handwriting, wait until you see my presentation. He goes, no, where did you get the Spirit of Sturgis? I'm just working on trademarking that right now. We're about 6 weeks into the trademark process. I go, oh shoot, I just shot myself in the foot. Now I gotta find a new name for my bike. Well, he was so impressed though that he said, I'm going to absolutely back you and help you. Let's talk to the general manager and the managers at the store and get them on, on the same level, and let's do this. Let's support 20th Century Racing and Brittney Olsen and the Indian. And we did that, debuted the bike last year at the Lichters exhibit during the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally at the Buffalo Chip. And we brought it out for a day of racing at the flat track. At the end of the rally, my sponsor and partner, he came up to me and he said, well, how do you think about hosting a vintage festival? And I thought, this is great because Sturgis is such a motorcycle mecca, especially for racing, and they've got the grounds, they've got everything because of the rally. So then that's how we came up with the Spirit of Sturgis Vintage Festival. And for me, I became pretty emotional after the last year's rally because, it was published in a magazine that they were closing down the track. That was our last year on the track, and immediately I just became so emotional because this is where I won my first motorcycle race. This is where the Sturgis Rally started, in 1938. We got together, we had a couple meetings, and I said, I'm definitely all in, but let's try to honor and save this half-mile racetrack from going, and being demolished, because there's so much rich motorcycle racing history. And if you think about it, that's really our state's only massive scale motorcycle racing history. Like, that's on such a big level because it set the precedent for so many years for hosting the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. So I felt obligated to make something happen, So we created the Spirit of Sturgis. It's going to take place August 26th and 27th. We have half-mile vintage flat track racing and 660-foot dirt drags on the half-mile as well. And we're having a great party. We're going to have a little race bike show and everything, so it'll be really fun. Vintage swap meet and antique flea market. So yeah, all in regards to honoring the history of that track.